story is about embracing what bonds us rather than focusing on what separates us, and giving the reader a bit more knowledge about religion, about faith, because knowledge isn't a bad thing. Knowledge can feed our freedom to decide what is right for our own societies, and it helps kind of like start ignorance. The more we know, the better off we will be. So I think what we tend to do is that we know a lot about the religions that we have, because that's what is in our culture. You know, that's what we have in our realm, and that's what most of the people are around us. And we don't really learn about the other religions. So our culture kind of says, you know, we are right and we've got the story right, and they have it wrong, so you don't need to learn what they do. And I think we need to kind of take it upon ourselves to try to learn a little bit about them. And in that little bit of knowledge, we can have respect for them and realize that perhaps they aren't that different. And what I tried to do in the story is separate faith and religion, because we use them as synonyms. What faith are you? What religion are you? We use them the same, and I tried to say, hey, they're not the same. Faith is what's inside you. Faith is what we all have inside us. And in our faith, we are inspired to ask questions about how do we get here? Is there a creator? Give praise. Why is good better than bad? What happened? We will be punished if we were bad and be rewarded if we were good. All these things are in our faith. How we choose to answer our questions about that, how we celebrate is the religious side. So it's just about saying, you know what? Okay, it's like this. If I can just use a metaphor. There are a lot of needs that we have inside of ourselves. When we just fed ourselves, we may have come in here hungry. When we're hungry, no matter who we are or where we live in the world, our hunger, our stomach feels the exact same. The pains we have that says I gotta be fed feels the exact same. How we express that, or how we answer that need, is how we eat, but we eat based on our culture. If we lived on the other side of the world, we'd be eating a different meal, but we're still satisfying that need. So it's about saying, okay, let's recognize the need being the same, let's recognize what's inside us as being the same, and just try to learn a bit more about other ways to express it. And if you know a little bit more, then you can understand that and respect that and have some tolerance. That's what it's about. And it's about a mindset. It's about, let's try not to think that we're different. Let's try to think, well, how are we the same? And, I'm sure all of us here have differences. We all could talk about what makes us all different, but if we wanted to, we'd also talk about what makes us the same. So it's a choice. I think that our society is changing rapidly. The changes that we've seen in communication and technology just in the last 50 years alone. And I think what comes with that is an instant awareness and access to knowledge. And for centuries and millennia, dogma and religious institution and tradition and ritual and festival kind of dictated our mindset. And I think what's happening now is a lot of us are becoming more aware of what's around us, and in that becoming more tolerant, and we're using more of our reasoning than the structure of organized religion. I read a book, it just came out about 6 months ago. It was by Gallup, and it was called God is Alive and Well in America. And Gallup, they do all the polls, said that 92% of Americans believe in God, which hasn't changed in 50 years. But when asked what religion they were, far more are now saying that they are just spiritual and not associated with religion.